Have you ever wondered who truly wrote the Bible? It's an intriguing question that has baffled scholars, theologians, and the curious alike for centuries. You see, the Bible isn't just a book, it's a compilation of many books, an anthology of ancient texts that has shaped cultures, inspired laws, and sparked countless debates. Yet, its origins remain shrouded in enigma. From the poetic verses of Psalms to the prophetic visions in Revelation, the Bible seems to echo the voices of many authors. But who were these individuals who penned down the words that billions have come to cherish? Were they mere mortals, or divinely inspired scribes? Were they kings, prophets, or unknown individuals lost to the sands of time? These are the questions that have sparked our quest, a quest that takes us back thousands of years, across deserts, through kingdoms, and into the heart of human civilization. Join us as we journey back in time to unravel the mystery of who wrote the Bible. Our journey begins with the first 5 books of the Bible, collectively known as the Pentateuch. These books, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, form the foundation of biblical narrative and law. They tell the story of creation, the fall of man, the Great Flood, the Exodus from Egypt, and the giving of the law at Mount Sinai. Tradition credits these books to Moses, the prophet who led the Israelites out of Egypt and received the 10 Commandments from God. However, this view has been challenged by modern scholars. You see, Moses lived in the 13th century BCE, but the oldest known copies of the Pentateuch only date back to the 3rd century BCE. That's a 1,000-year gap. Plus, the books contain several anachronisms and inconsistencies that suggest they were written much later than Moses' time. Enter the documentary hypothesis. This theory suggests that the Pentateuch was not the work of a single author, but rather a compilation of several sources, written over a span of centuries. These sources, identified as J, E, P, and D, each reflect different theological perspectives and historical contexts. The J source, for example, uses a particular name for God and focuses on the southern kingdom of Judah, while the E source uses a different name for God and has a northern kingdom focus. But what does this mean? Well, if the documentary hypothesis is correct, then the Pentateuch is not a monolithic block of text, but a complex tapestry of traditions woven together over time. It means that the Bible is not just a religious text, but also a historical document bearing the fingerprints of the societies that produced it. So the authorship of the earliest books remains a riddle wrapped in a mystery. We may never know for certain who wrote these ancient texts, but their enduring influence is a testament to their power and profundity. Moving forward, we dive into the prophets and the writings. This section of the Bible is a treasure trove of wisdom, history, and prophecy, and it's as diverse in its authorship as it is in its content. Our journey begins with the prophets. These books are traditionally attributed to the prophets themselves, individuals who were chosen by God to deliver his messages to his people. From the courageous Jeremiah to the faithful Ezekiel, each prophet lent their unique voice and perspective to the words they penned. Their writings, filled with divine revelations and stern warnings, served as a spiritual compass for the people of their time. Then, we venture into the writings, a collection of books that include the Psalms, Proverbs, and historical books. The Psalms, a collection of 150 songs and prayers, are primarily attributed to King David, a man after God's own heart. His words, raw and filled with emotion, have resonated with believers throughout the ages. Proverbs, on the other hand, is traditionally linked to King Solomon, David's son, known for his unparalleled wisdom. His pithy sayings provide practical guidance for life, reminding us of the importance of wisdom, discipline, and moral integrity. The historical books, including Chronicles, Ezra, and Nehemiah, tell the story of the Jewish people, from their earliest days to their return from exile. These books, penned by a variety of authors, provide a rich historical context that helps us understand the world in which the Bible was written. And let's not forget the Book of Job, a masterpiece of ancient literature. This poetic dialogue wrestles with the problem of human suffering, a theme that remains relevant today. Its authorship remains unknown, adding to the enigma of the Bible. From kings to shepherds, from poets to prophets, the authors of the prophets and the writings were as varied as the books they wrote. Each one, with their unique perspective and voice, contributed to the rich tapestry of biblical literature. The prophets and the writings, rich in authorship, add another layer to our enigma. Venturing into the New Testament, we first encounter the Gospels and Paul's letters. The New Testament, a cornerstone of Christian faith, starts with the four Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Each Gospel presents a unique perspective on the life, teachings, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Traditionally, these books are attributed to their namesakes: Matthew, a tax collector turned disciple; Mark, a companion of Peter; Luke, a physician and confidant of Paul; and John, the beloved disciple of Christ. However, much like the enigma that surrounds the rest of the Bible, the authorship of the Gospels is not without its share of intrigue. The Gospels, written decades after the events they describe, were likely not first-hand accounts. Many scholars believe that they were the work of anonymous authors, drawing upon oral traditions and earlier written sources, who sought to spread the message and teachings of Jesus. Then we have the letters of Paul, a significant component of the New Testament. Paul, originally known as Saul of Tarsus, underwent a dramatic conversion on the road to Damascus. His letters to various early Christian communities form a substantial part of the New Testament. 13 letters bear his name, but again, scholars question the authorship of some. The consensus is that 7 of these letters are genuinely Pauline, while the others may have been written by his followers, continuing his theological legacy. These letters, filled with guidance, admonishments, and encouragement, helped shape the burgeoning Christian faith and are still profoundly influential in Christian theology today. The question of who wrote the New Testament is not a simple one. The traditional views offer one perspective, but modern scholarship opens the door to a world of theories and possibilities. The idea of anonymous authorship, where the focus is less on the individual writer and more on the message, adds another layer of complexity to our understanding. The New Testament, a beacon of Christianity, deepens our mystery even further. Our journey in the New Testament continues with its other writings. Beyond the Gospels and Paul's letters, there are numerous other books that make up this critical part of the Bible. Each carries its own unique voice, context, and of course its own authorship mystery. Among these books, the Revelation, also known as the Apocalypse of John, stands out. Traditionally attributed to John the Apostle, the book is a prophetic vision of the end times. However, the stark differences in language and style from the Gospel of John have led many scholars to propose another John, known as John of Patmos, as the real author. The Epistle to the Hebrews is another intriguing book with disputed authorship. Unlike other epistles in the New Testament, Hebrews does not explicitly name its author. Over the centuries, numerous theories have been proposed, including Paul, Barnabas, and even Priscilla. Despite the uncertainty, the book's eloquent exploration of Christ's priesthood and sacrifice has earned it a cherished place in the New Testament. The New Testament also includes the general or Catholic epistles: James, Peter, John, Jude, and the enigmatic book of Hebrews. These letters, written to the broader Christian community, were attributed to key figures in the early church. However, debates over their true authors, known as the pseudepigrapha debate, have persisted for centuries. For instance, the sophisticated Greek of James seems at odds with the Galilean fisherman portrayed in the Gospels, leading some to question its authorship. The New Testament is not just a collection of religious texts. It's a complex tapestry of writings, each with its own story, context, and authorship mystery. As we delve into the enigma of who wrote each book, we don't just learn about the Bible, we also glimpse into the hearts and minds of the people who lived in those pivotal early centuries of Christianity. As our journey in the New Testament ends, the enigma persists. We now turn to the final stage of our journey, the canonization of the Bible. This process wasn't a swift or straightforward one. It involved centuries of debate, deliberation, and divine inspiration. The canonization process is much like curating a timeless anthology, with each book undergoing rigorous scrutiny before earning its place. The early church councils played a pivotal role in this process. It was during these meetings that church leaders, inspired and moved by the Holy Spirit, would discuss and debate over which writings should be included. The criteria, theological accuracy, apostolic origin, and widespread acceptance among early Christian communities. The canonization wasn't just about selecting books, though. It was also about arranging them in a way that reflected the narrative of God's covenant with humanity, from the creation in Genesis to the prophetic visions in Revelation. The canonization process, a saga in itself, completes our exploration. As our journey ends, the mystery of who wrote the Bible remains unresolved. We've journeyed through time, exploring the enigma of the Bible's creation, from the ancient texts of the Pentateuch to the prophetic writings and finally the New Testament. We've delved into the complexities of the Gospels and Paul's letters and pondered over the other writings that comprise the New Testament. The canonization of the Bible, a process as intricate as the texts themselves, brought together diverse books under one spiritual roof. Yet the question of authorship still lingers, shrouded in a veil of uncertainty. Scholars continue to debate, their theories as varied as the books of the Bible themselves. Who were these mysterious authors? Were they divinely inspired prophets or ordinary men with extraordinary insights? The truth may forever be a mystery. While we may never know the exact authors of the Bible, the intrigue of its creation continues to captivate us.